Oh, you ruined your marriage. Now you have to serve coffee and donuts. Tough. That's so tough.
I ruined my marriage and now I work as a barista for a family friend. Hey there, you can call me Samantha. I've watched your channel for a while now, and I wasn't sure if I should send this email. I kept going back and forth with myself, but after hearing some of the other stories, I figured maybe it's time I own up to what I did, even if it makes me look like the villain. Because the truth is, I was. I ruined my own marriage. I did it with my own hands, my own words, my own choices, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for it. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what I had and how I just threw it away. I thought I was doing something that would help us, that would make me love my husband more, as silly and twisted as that sounds. But the reality is, I just didn't want to admit how selfish I had become. Let me start from the beginning. How we met. I met my ex husband during the weirdest and scariest time in our lives, the 2020 pandemic. Everything was shut down except Florida. I was cooped up in my apartment in Atlanta, feeling depressed and restless, and I decided on a whim to take a road trip to Panama City Beach just to breathe. I told myself it was a mini escape, nothing more. I packed a couple of swimsuits, a few books, and made a playlist of songs that made me feel alive. I was supposed to be there for 4 days. I ended up meeting a man who changed my life. I met him at a beach bar. He had a beer in one hand, sunglasses on, and this ridiculously calm energy that made him stand out in a crowd full of spring breakers and party people. He wasn't loud or flashy. He just sat there, sipping his drink, looking out at the ocean. I remember walking past him, and he nodded politely, and I thought, who is this guy who's not even trying to holler at every woman that walks by? That got my attention. He was from Alabama, in his early 30s, a few years older than me. I was 26 at the time. We talked for hours that night. It felt easy, natural. I had dated around before, but nothing that stuck. This felt different. He was confident, not cocky, kind, not soft, smart, not arrogant. We had different upbringings, but something about us clicked like magnets. We exchanged numbers and kept in touch after I returned to Georgia. One phone call led to another, and before I knew it, we were in a long distance relationship. Every other weekend, I'd drive to see him, or he'd come to see me. We were in that honeymoon bubble. I fell for him hard. He wasn't rich or flashy, but he was stable, reliable, and made me feel safe. Something I didn't even realize I needed until I had it. Moving in and getting married. By 2022, we were talking about taking the next step. I moved into his home, which honestly felt like a palace compared to the apartments I had bounced around in. He had a beautiful 2-story house in a quiet neighborhood. His life was structured, clean, orderly. It felt like a dream. We got married that same year. Quick wedding, courthouse, just the two of us and a dinner afterward. I didn't need a big ceremony. At the time, I told myself that what mattered was the love, not the show. But somewhere deep down, something in me still felt like I was shrinking. I didn't realize until later how much I had not dealt with my own issues, independence, identity, self-worth. He was never a tyrant or anything like that, but I started to feel like I didn't have my own life anymore. I blamed him for that when really I never had a solid life of my own to begin with. Things were good at first, but slowly that feeling of restlessness started to creep back in. I missed going out with friends. I missed spontaneous girls' trips. And when I brought up the idea of a solo trip, he said no. Plain and simple. He didn't raise his voice. He wasn't angry. He just said, I'm not comfortable with that. We're married now. If you need a break, let's do it together. But I took that personally. The idea of an open marriage. By late 2023, I was bored. That's the honest truth. And I know how horrible that sounds, especially when I think about everything he gave me: a home, stability, his heart, his loyalty. but I wanted excitement. I wanted to feel something new. I started watching podcasts and TikToks with women talking about ethical non monogamy, open relationships, and reclaiming your individuality. And I started feeding into the idea that maybe I could rekindle my passion for my husband if we opened the marriage. Yes, I know how stupid that sounds now, but at the time, I actually believed it. I thought maybe I could miss him more if I had room to explore. Maybe we'd grow from it. Maybe. So I sat him down and told him I wanted to talk. I said, "What if we tried something different? Something that could help us?" He said, "Like what?" And I said it. I said, "What if we had an open marriage? Not forever, just for a while." He didn't even respond right away. He just looked at me like he didn't recognize the woman sitting in front of him. I'll never forget the look in his eyes, that combination of disbelief, betrayal, and just heartbreak. And he didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't say anything nasty. He just said no. And if that's what you need, maybe you don't want to be married. From wife to homeless. I blinked and suddenly I was packing my things. He didn't physically remove me. I chose to leave because I thought I could go find myself or whatever fantasy I had in my head. But once I stepped outside of that house, reality hit me like a freight train. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have money saved. I had quit my remote job months earlier, thinking I'd start a small business that never got off the ground. Within 2 weeks, I was living in a cheap hotel, crying in the bathroom, asking my mom to send me money just so I wouldn't end up sleeping in the rain. The man I once shared a bed with, he went silent. He blocked me on everything. No texts, no calls, no, let's talk. Nothing, just silence. That silence was louder than any argument we ever had. Eventually, I flew back home to Georgia, tail between my legs. I stayed with my mom, and she told me I should lawyer up. She said I could get half of everything he owned, but that didn't happen because we had a prenup. I didn't even read it when I signed it back then. I was too busy playing house and fantasizing about being a wife to even care what was in it. And I honestly thought we'd never divorce. Turns out I walked away with nothing but a box of clothes and a broken heart. My life now. I work as a barista at a coffee shop owned by a family friend. I live with my mom. I'm 30 and sharing a bathroom with my little cousins when they visit. Some mornings I wake up and wonder, how did I get here? And then I remember, I put myself here. I chose this. He was a good man. Not perfect, but good. He didn't cheat. He didn't lie. He just wanted a traditional marriage, and I couldn't handle that because I thought I was missing out on something. But what I missed out on was him. A good man who loved me, a peaceful life, a home. All because I thought I was being progressive. I cry some nights, not because I want the house or the lifestyle, but because I want to go back to a Sunday afternoon with him sitting on the couch, football on, me cooking dinner, the world feeling still. I had that, and I lost it. Final thoughts. To anyone listening to this and thinking about doing what I did, don't. If you're bored, say it. If you're feeling disconnected, talk. If you're feeling lost, get help. But don't destroy your marriage just to chase something that may not even be real. I know it's not trendy to say this, but sometimes the problem isn't the marriage, it's you. And in my case, it was 100% me. To my ex, if you somehow hear this, I'm sorry. I wish I could undo what I did. I wish I could go back to the day I asked you for an open marriage and tell myself, don't do it. You're about to lose the best thing that ever happened to you. But life doesn't work like that. Now I'm just another girl with a regret and a lesson too late learned. Thanks for reading this. I don't expect sympathy or pity. I just hope someone out there hears my story and stops themselves before they do what I did. But my ex-husband, and how I plan, no, how I will win him back. I know most people are probably rolling their eyes or yelling at their screen saying, "Girl, let that man move on." But I can't. Not yet. Not without trying. Not when I know in my heart I sabotaged something beautiful and pure. He didn't leave me because he stopped loving me. He left me because I broke the very thing he cherished most, his trust. So this email is my roadmap, my prayer in action. My heart cracked wide open. Here's how I plan to get him back. Step 1. Heal me first. This might sound contradictory, but I had to start by realizing that I can't show up for him until I've cleaned up what's going on inside of me. That doesn't mean doing yoga and burning sage, though I did try that for a week. No, I mean the hard stuff. I started therapy, and I don't mean one of those TikTok style just talk it out sessions. I mean digging into the painful truths about myself, the control issues I blamed him for, the people-pleasing tendencies that made me resentful, the self-sabotage I wrapped in empowerment slogans. I told my therapist the truth. I hated myself after what I did. She told me, "You're punishing yourself as a form of penance, but that doesn't rebuild anything. It just keeps you stuck." I knew she was right. So I've been doing the work, journaling, rewriting my narratives, reading books on humility and forgiveness, and this part hurt the most. I made a list of every time I ignored his boundaries, downplayed his concerns, or made him feel like his love wasn't enough. That list? It had over 40 items. I cried over every one of them. I'm not doing this so he can see me as perfect. I'm doing it so I never become that version of me again. So that if he does ever open the door to me, I walk through it as a better woman, not a wounded one. Step 2. The letter he deserves. I started writing him a letter 3 weeks ago. Not a text, not an email, a real handwritten letter. I've rewritten it 6 times already. I keep it tucked inside my Bible, next to the dried flower he once gave me on our 6-month anniversary. I haven't sent it yet, not until I know it's the version he deserves. The letter isn't just, "I'm sorry." It's, "Here's exactly how I messed up. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I'm doing to never hurt anyone like that again." I talk about the night I asked for an open marriage and how I replay that conversation in my head like a horror movie scene. I tell him I know I humiliated him, that I took something sacred and treated it like an experiment, that if he never wanted to speak to me again, I'd understand, but that I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try to make it right. I'm not sending it until I've earned the right to. That brings me to step 3. Step 3. Return to the city we built together. My ex lives in Alabama. That house, the one I left behind. It wasn't just his, it was ours. I helped pick the couch, the dining room set, the paint colors in the guest room. Every part of that home has pieces of me in it, even if I'm no longer welcome there. My plan is to move back to Alabama, not to force my way into his life, but to be closer if he ever opens the door again. I found a small studio apartment 15 minutes from our old neighborhood. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. I've been saving every tip I make from the cafe. I stopped buying coffee out, stopped eating takeout, stopped getting my nails done. I've been living like a college student just to save enough to make that move. Why? Because I want him to see that I'm serious. I'm not asking him to take me back tomorrow. I'm just hoping that one day he sees me in the grocery store or the library or volunteering at the local shelter, and he remembers the woman I used to be, the woman he fell in love with before I let foolishness ruin it all. And maybe, just maybe, he'll believe I'm her again. Step 4. Show, don't tell. Words mean nothing when you've betrayed someone. I could write him poetry, sing outside his window, quote Bible verses about forgiveness, and none of that would matter unless I show him through consistent actions that I've changed. So I've made a quiet list of things I plan to do, not for attention, but to show I'm capable of putting others first. I signed up to volunteer at the animal shelter every Saturday. I joined a women's church group, not to gossip or fake growth, but to listen and be held accountable. I've been writing anonymous letters to women in bad marriages, warning them not to make the same mistake I did. And if by some miracle my ex ever asks how I've changed, I won't just say, I'm different now. I'll have receipts. Step 5. The coffee shop confession. This is the part that scares me the most. Once I move to Alabama and get settled, I plan to visit the coffee shop he goes to every Sunday morning. I know it's still his favorite. His cousin follows me on Instagram, even though he probably doesn't know I check her stories like clockwork. I've seen him in the background a few times. I won't ambush him. I won't show up looking like I'm there to win him back. I'll go as myself. Jeans, no makeup, just a woman who lost everything because she forgot how to cherish it. And if I see him, I'll approach slowly, I'll smile, I'll say, hi, I'm not here to cause a scene. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry in person and that I hope you're doing well. That's it. No tears, no drama, no pleas, just a seed. If he ignores me, I'll respect that. If he nods and walks away, I'll respect that too. But if he gives me even 5 seconds of eye contact, I'll know there's a tiny crack left in the wall he built. And cracks are how the light gets in. Step 6. The long game. I know this won't happen overnight. I'm not expecting a movie ending. This isn't a Nicholas Sparks book. This is real life. And in real life, sometimes you don't get a second chance. But I also believe that some people are meant to fight for, not because they owe us anything, but because we owe it to ourselves to right our wrongs. My ex-husband is the man I prayed for long before I ever met him. He was the answer to a prayer I didn't even know I whispered, and I spit in the face of that blessing. So now, I'm going to plant my feet in the soil of growth. I'm going to water the garden of my healing, and I'm going to wait patiently, humbly, for the chance to hand him a flower from that garden and say, this time, I'll take care of it. If you're reading this, to any woman out there listening to this and thinking, maybe I should leave my husband just to explore, please pause. You might think the grass is greener, but often that grass is fake. Artificial turf over a cracked foundation. Your husband may not be exciting every day, but real love often isn't. It's quiet. It's steady. It's built on loyalty, not lust. If you've already made the mistake I made, don't give up on trying to make things right. It might be too late, but it might not. And to my ex, if somehow this story finds its way to your ears, I want you to know, I see you now. I see the man who made me breakfast even when I didn't say thank you. The man who killed spiders for me and waited in the car when I tried on 4 outfits. The man who gave me stability when all I knew was chaos. I didn't deserve you, but I'm becoming someone who might, someday. Until then, I'll keep showing up, quietly, respectfully, ready, because I believe in second chances, and I believe in you.